Good morning. I am so sorry that I can't be there with you guys today because I have a sick kiddo at home, which, believe me, is no fun. I'd rather be with you. But what I would love for us to do today is more of the separating of variables, solving differential equations that we did on Friday. So if you remember, on Friday, we learned that we can solve a differential equation, just like this one here. So I'm in lesson 7.3, which is page 8. Whatever that means, okay? And I'm looking at this very first example. So what makes this a differential equation is the fact that it's an equation that has a derivative. The only types of differential equations that we are going to solve are separable. And so that means we want to separate the y and the x, including the dy over dx. So we're going to treat that like a fraction that we can move around. So for this first one, I could cross multiply, or I could multiply both sides by dx. I'm going to do this one in sort of slower steps here so that you guys can see, because it's been a minute. We've had a weekend and a ball game. Not a very good Super Bowl, I must say. Fly Eagles, but still not very exciting. Okay, and then the last thing, I have that pesky y on the right-hand side that I need to move, so I'm going to multiply both sides by y to cancel that. So I end up with y dy equals 2x dx, okay? And so once I get this separated, then and only then can I integrate both sides. And now it looks like an actual indefinite integral on each side. And the antiderivative of 1y is 1/2 y squared. And the antiderivative of 2x is x squared plus c. Remember that we don't need a plus c on both sides. We really can just put it on one side. It's like a super c that takes care of any arbitrary constant on either side. Okay? All right, let's look at b. So for this one, you might be thinking, there's no x at all. Oh my gosh. So if I multiply the dx onto the other side, which is always a great idea to start with, pardon me, there's no x's over there to be friends, but that's okay. I can divide by y squared and have just dx. So when I integrate both sides here, the antiderivative of 1 over y squared, I need to rewrite that, don't I? Yes, as y to the negative 2. And so I would add 1 and divide by the new exponent, right? So I add 1 and get -1 and then divide by -1. Now on the x side, you're not integrating 0, you're really integrating 1, right? This is 1 times dx, and the antiderivative of 1 is x plus c. Whatever letter you use should match this at the end, right? If you're on the dx side, your antiderivatives are going to have x's. If you're on the dy side, your antiderivatives are going to have y. Why? Why not? All right, let's see. Ainsley, why don't you try separating c? Very good, you're so smart. She divided by y, and then she multiplied by dx, and then she's going to integrate both sides. And Jeet, what happens on the left side? Were you paying attention, Jeet? Yes, of course you were. You're so smart. And it is natural log of y. What a smart cookie. And the antiderivative of x, Dylan, is 1/2 x squared plus c. All of these are just general solutions. I can't stress that enough. These are just general solutions, right? To find a particular solution, I would need what? Harrison, what would I need? An initial condition, that's exactly right. I would need an initial condition to be able to plug in and solve for c. All right, d looks a little sketch, I think, because of that y prime, but it's not that bad if I change that to dy dx. Okay, and let's see, who am I going to pick on this time? Not Emma, obviously. Anjali. Say it louder, Anjali. Yes, you're so smart. She says add that 3e to the x over. And then she said go ahead and multiply over the dx. Brilliant. Now I'm able to integrate both sides. You guys can pause this video at any time, of course, if I'm going a little too fast. Excuse me. The antiderivative of 4y is 2y squared. And the antiderivative of 3e to the x is just 3e to the x plus c. Once again, Samantha, why do I not have a plus c on the y side? That's right, you really could, but you don't need it, right? That 1 plus c on the x side takes care of all of it. All right, let's look at example 2. Now, I don't know why this one makes me nervous, but Jean left us a huge box, which tells me this could get dicey. I don't know. It looks like this is a good example of where we can just cross multiply to separate. So I have 3y squared dy equals, be careful to keep this x squared plus 1 in parentheses. Otherwise, it looks like you're just multiplying the 1 times dx, and that's not what we really mean. We mean that whole entire numerator times dx. Are we completely separated? Yes! And so I can integrate both sides. The antiderivative of 3y squared is y to the third. And then the antiderivative over here would be 1/3 x cubed plus x plus c. I'm not at all sure why she gave us such a big box. Clearly she didn't trust us. We're much smarter than she thought we were. We're no average bear. Okay, here we go. These are super duper fun because we have an initial condition. So this extra piece of information right here, I forgot to ask, how many of you wearing Tennessee jerseys today? Oh, yeah, me neither. So we are going to be able to actually solve for that c at the end with this initial condition. Now they changed the letters on us, dx to dt, instead of dy and dx, which is a little bit confusing. But we're still just going to keep the top one on the left side and move the dt to the other side. So let me go ahead and do that part first. So all I'm doing here is multiplying the dt over to the right side. And are we completely separated? Marcy? No! What else do I need to get rid of? The e to the negative t. You're exactly right. So I'm going to divide both sides by e to the negative t, which gives me x dx equals 1 over e to the negative t dt. I don't like to write that dt in the fraction. I think it looks funny. But there's one thing you may have noticed. I bet Luke noticed it. Luke would probably say to us, don't keep that 1 over e to the negative t. That looks silly. That exponent's negative, so put it in the top. So instead of, let's see how I can do this. Instead of this, which looks silly, just think of this as e to the positive t, right? Because when I move a fraction, or excuse me, a term up, it makes the exponent positive. Okay, so now when I integrate both sides, the antiderivative of x is 1/2 x squared, and the antiderivative of e to the t is e to the t plus c, which is where we would end if we were finding a general solution, but we are finding a particular solution, which means I'm going to draw a big arrow and I am going to write my initial condition on that arrow and plug it in. Okay, so I'm actually going to go up here to plug it in. Okay, so x is 1. This is a t value and an x value, in case that confuses you a little bit. Okay, because it's not x and y. So I have 1/2 times 1 equals e to the 0 plus c. And what is e to the 0? It's 1. Anything to the 0 is 1. So that means that c equals -1/2. And then I might say, where do I go with that? What do I do with that? Well, not to worry, you drew a big arrow. That's where you go. All right, so this becomes 1/2 x squared equals e to the t minus 1/2. And the only thing extra about a particular solution is that if we can, we should solve this for y equals. In this case, it's x equals, okay? X is our dependent variable and t is our independent variable this time. So I'm going to just try to get x by itself here. And so I would multiply both sides by 2. So that would become 2e to the t minus 1. And then the last thing I would do is take the square root. Now, this actually is a little trickier than it sounds, because when I take a square root, I need to decide if it's plus or minus, right? Ordinarily, if we take a square root, we put a plus or minus, which I did, and that was great. But we need to decide, this is a particular solution. We need to actually say, is it positive or is it negative? So whenever you take a square root and have to make that decision, it's easier than it sounds. You just look at your initial condition. If x is positive in my initial condition, I'm going to pick the positive square root. If x is negative in my initial condition, I'm going to pick the negative square root. So in this case, I'm going to pick the positive square root because x equals positive 1. All right, that's kind of a lot, the square root stuff. Okay, we're going to do lots more examples of that, so don't panic if that seems confusing or you're not totally sure why we picked what we picked. Okay, all right, let's move on to, ooh, I went too far, to example number 4. Okay, let's see, who have I not picked on yet? Paul. Paul, what should you do? What are you going to do? Cross multiply? That's an interesting idea, Paul. X, y, dy equals 1 plus x dx. So cross multiplying is a great place to start, but just don't assume that you're finished, right? Because I have that pesky x on the left. No good. No good. Divide by that. Divide by that. So I have y dy equals, I'm going to go ahead and divide each of these terms by x. 1 over x plus x over x dx. Okay? I hope that makes sense. All right, from here, I'm going to integrate both sides. So I have the antiderivative of y, 1/2 y squared. And the antiderivative on this side, what's the antiderivative of 1 over x? Natural log of x, that's right, plus x plus c. Giant arrow. 1 comma negative 4 is my initial condition. Okay, so I'm going to go over here, 1/2 times negative 4 squared equals natural log of 1 plus 1 plus c. Okay, be sure that that negative 4 is in the parentheses. You're squaring the 4 and the minus sign, okay? So this becomes 1/2 of 16. Have I picked on everybody? What's natural log of 1? I think Eliza's sick. Caitlin's not here. Is Caitlin back? I don't think so. Anna, did I ask you? Anna. Natural log of 1 is 0. You're so smart. Plus 1 plus c, so that means that c equals 7. Where do I go with that? Why the big arrow, of course. And so this is 1/2 y squared equals natural log of x plus 7. I want to get y by itself, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So I have 2 natural log of x plus 2x plus 14. And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. But this is where I need to make a decision. And I need to decide, is this a positive square root or a negative square root? It can't be both, because then my answer wouldn't be a function. And I need a particular solution that is a function. Okay? So I'm going to decide positive or negative, but look at this initial condition. Y needs to be negative, which means this square root needs to be negative, so that when I plug in that initial condition, my answer, my solution is true, right? If I were to plug in 1 for all those x's, I need to be able to get a negative 4. So I need to pick the negative square root. Okay, I think you guys should be all set to work on some of the homework for this section. I would love so very much for 7.3 if you guys did 1 through general solution 9. 1 through 9, just 1 through 9. And we will go over those when I get back tomorrow. Please and thank you. On number 1, you notice write your answer in standard form. No thanks. You don't have to do that. Okay, don't look. It has the answer. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. See you later. Bye.